Okay, well, I'm not going to document everything that I wrote down about this game. It'll just take too long. There was a decent amount of 34 and 43 things, but there was also other coding in this game. And there was one big play that really stood out to me a lot, and I actually videotaped that, so I'll show the footage of that in a second. But even the score of the game, I thought for sure at the end of the game, South Alabama missed a extra point, so it would have been a total of 58 points. But what happened was number 39 messed up the snap or the hold, the kick or whatever, and so number 39 did it to make them lose by 39 points. But anyway, I want to move on. Well, I guess there was two times where I noticed it was 3rd and 13, and then Southern Alabama had they got the first down on 3rd and 13 twice. And then it even says they finished with 313 passing yards. Like I said, tons of other stuff. Just want to show this play here. Okay, I couldn't find a copy of the game online, so I just recorded it with my webcam. The score is actually 21-0, and you'll be able to see it a little more clear in a second. But just listen to right in the beginning. There's 23 seconds left in the second quarter. Just listen to what the announcers say. They say something about Nebraska and their 12 penalties last week. And they emphasize the 12, so just listen here.
You also mentioned, Coach, that the penalty situation needed to be rectified. Nebraska, a week ago, committed 12 penalties. They only got 2. So yeah, 12 penalties and 10 penalties, which they think they should have been able to control. And, you're going to get a pass interference. You're going to get...
Okay, so they mentioned 12 penalties like 2 times at least. Maybe 3, I can't remember, but 3 times. Now, there's 23 seconds left. Now watch, I'm going to turn the volume down because I talk in it, but just watch it here. 21-0 is the score. He punts the ball at 21 seconds. And look at my DVR even. My DVR even 2:21:11 when he punts it. And that's what I was pointing out, I think. Okay, so here's the rest of the play here. It hits the guy at the 43-yard line, so that's a fumble or a live ball or whatever. 43-yard line, Nebraska picks it up. They run it down to the 33-yard line. And then there's 12 seconds left on the clock. And last week I talked about the 33 as well, with Mike Riley, and there was other 33s, and 34 and 43, like crazy. They had a bunch of big plays, which were the 12 and 21, and it's because of Abe Lincoln was born on 2/12, so it literally is the 21 and the 12 encoded in the same number. But let's just keep playing it here. So I just pointed out the 12 seconds left, 21-0. But what happens is, on the next play, they don't fix the clock. They actually bring the ball back to the 45-yard line and say that the Nebraska guy was down. And there's no way. I'll slow it down even and show you. His knee never touches the ground. It makes no sense at all. So they bring it back to the 45. So they bring it back 12 yards. And then they never change the clock, and it starts at 12. And then the next Nebraska play only lasts 2 seconds, and the announcers make a joke, and they say, haha, only in Nebraska football or whatever, like it's rigged, So I'm going to play that really quick. So like I said, here's the 45-yard line. Nebraska was on the 33, so they went back to the 45. 12 yards. It still says 12 seconds on the clock. And just listen to what the announcers say.
How much time went off? Still 10 seconds remaining. 2 seconds? We're in Lincoln, aren't we? I see no chance for 5 more plays here. Dave, I'm Joey Jones. I say, you gotta be kidding me.
They changed it up to 16
He
too.
didn't catch it and go right out of bounds. He danced.
So what happened was they changed it back. So they changed it up to 16 seconds, but the clock on the TV or whatever never changed, so it's 12. And they were making fun of it. Haha, Nebraska. Only in Nebraska. So the whole point is the Nebraska guy was never down. It doesn't make any sense for them to move the ball back. Funny that they move it back 12 yards even, but I slowed it down. I mean, just watch it. He's never down. It hits him. This guy gets it. It looks close, but they show the other angle. His knee never touches. It never touches once. He was never down. And I'm just going to let this play out because it shows the other angle, I think. Pretty hard to tell, but it just doesn't look like his knee was down at all. It was close, but it looked like his leg was pretty far raised up still. So whatever, interesting that would even happen in this game, though. I guess that's the whole point, you know, and then they bring it back 12 yards. And then last week you had number 12, Mangum, who came in with 12-12 remaining, and they moved the ball back to the 12, if you remember that. So it was a real weird play. So whatever, it's that 12 and 21 is all about Abraham Lincoln. Whatever, I've been talking about it for a while now. And after the halftime was over, the announcers talked, and they talked about how it was Nebraska's 342nd sellout crowd at their home stadium or whatever, and that's the NCAA record. So you pull up Memorial Stadium where they play, it even tells you on here, they hold the record of 342. But interesting, the next home game, if they sell out, which most likely they will be 343, 343. A pretty significant number around Lincoln and Nebraska, and Abe Lincoln and everything else. So 343rd prime, 2309, like 923 or 239, like the 88th day of the year. And all of that started in November 3rd, 1962 was when that streak started. November 3rd, there's 58 days left until the end of the year. And it's also 52 years ago until November 3rd this year when it will be 53. So anyway, I looked up. I was like, I wonder who Nebraska plays, whatever, on that game. I'm going to skip over that for a second. I want to show a few things. Even in the South Alabama game, the time of possession for the teams, Nebraska had the ball for 33 minutes, 34 seconds. And then Southern Alabama had 26 and 26. And also, they're called, like, when they write it out here, it's always USA. So I found that interesting that it was basically Nebraska playing the USA or something. But, you know, it's the sellout crowd and all that. But look at what it says for the capacity, 85,000. Even says, in 1922, a drive for $430,000 in funds to build the new football stadium. So it costs $430,000, the 43, and then it seats 85,000, and they're going to break the record, or they broke the record for the most consecutive sellouts, and the next home game will be 343. In this game, too, they also coded 44 a decent amount. Even the punt that I just showed you, where all the 12s were, it was on 4th and 4. And the only time that Southern Alabama even looked good was when they were throwing against Daniel Davey, a Nebraska defender, DD 44. There was, like I said, tons of coding in the game. Don't want to get into it because there's a lot more to talk about in this. So anyway, Memorial Stadium. I just wanted to look through it a little bit more. They just tell you about it, whatever. And it says a statue of Nebraska former coach Tom Osborne and former Nebraska quarterback Brooke Behringer can be found outside the north side of the stadium. So it has these two distinctive statues or whatever. So I just clicked on Brooke Behringer. I thought BB22. And then the stadium was built in 1922. So, thought that was interesting. And look at the gematria of Brooke Behringer. 157 and 85. I just talked about 157 in the last video, because 157 adds up to 239. Or it was actually 2 videos ago. But anyway, Brooke Behringer died in a plane crash, which is just kind of weird. I don't know. You don't hear about people dying in plane crashes that often, but who knows. This was the plane that he wrecked in. Because he was he flew himself or whatever, but these planes were originated from Bradford, Pennsylvania. I mean, we've talked about Philadelphia and Pennsylvania a whole bunch. It's been super coated. Anyway, let's go back and look at the other guy on the statue. That was Nebraska's coach, Tom Osborne, and he was the AD as well. But Tom Osborne, 223, age 78, even played with the 49ers. I thought that was interesting. But he's born in Hastings, Nebraska. And I just talked about Hastings, Nebraska with Nebraska's coach, Mike Riley, because he surpassed, at Oregon State, he surpassed this guy, Lon Steiner, for the career wins at Oregon State. And this guy was from Hastings, Nebraska as well. And wouldn't you know it, Hastings, 34 in gematria. Hastings, Nebraska, 168. That is, we've talked about both of these numbers multiple times and how it all goes together, so not going to re-explain it, but this is all about Queen Elizabeth and whatnot. And then another 34. And this guy, Lon Steiner, his real name is Alonzo. And look at the gematria. 168 and 60 in Pythagorean. Hastings, Nebraska, 60 and 168. What are the odds of that? No way. Even died in 1985. And he's 33 years older than Tom Osborne. But let me find Tom Osborne again here. Tom Osborne even became a coach, not the head coach, but a coach in 1964 as an unpaid offensive assistant head coach in 1964, and then he became the head coach in 1973. Significant because the statue of Brooke Behringer was born in 73, but also that means that he coached at Nebraska for 34 seasons. So it also says that as athletic director, Tom Osborne announced his retirement on September 26, 2012. So that's interesting because Nebraska's game, their next home game, is on 9/26, the same day that Tom Osborne announced his retirement 3 years ago. And I'm just going to make a separate video because I got a lot more to talk about and I'm running out of time. But yeah, the next video will be, I think, a lot more informative. I didn't think the video that I was going to show would take that long. So check out the next part. There's a lot to it. So, yep, see you on the next one. Have a good one.